Now you folks know why I couldn't read it. Actually, it was Mark's father who really got me started on the path to being a good Christian. After being married and living in New Brunswick a few years, I moved back to Highland Park and enrolled back at St. Paul's Church and got involved over there. Mark's father, Tony, was one of the more well-known people over there, and he asked me to get involved. Boy, did I get involved. I became president of the Holy Name, parish council president, got involved in the Knights of Columbus, etc., etc., etc. And then later on in the years when Tony passed away, they only lived a couple blocks from us in Highland Park. I got to know Mark a little bit better. He had gone to school with my sons, and it was a great loss for me when Mark passed away, because Mark and Mary were good friends of ours. But that's my story. That letter really is the story of Father Joe. It's what he is. Never turn you down. I don't care what time of day it is, what time of night it is, where he's at or where you're at. You just tell him you have a problem, and he's going to be there for you. And I know it's, excuse me, man. You know, as far as Helen and I are concerned, we're going to miss him. But we have other good friends here. There's a Consolata priest, Father Paul in the back, Father David's here, Father Charles, Father John, Father Van, and my pastor, Father John Polyak from Our Lady of Peace. Did I miss anybody?
Yeah, Father Michael.
I don't want to go to hell tonight. I said Father David.
Father Mike.
I did say Father.
Michael.
Father Mike.
Father Mike.
Yeah, Father Mike's not here, but yes, Father Michael was one of those that when Helen and I had a problem, when our second son passed away, I never forget, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. We had to go to the Old Bridge Hospital, where he was at. And immediately I called Consolatas, and the phone rang. Once, it got picked up. It was Father Mike. Jokingly, you know, it was sad. I said, what were you doing, watching television? He said, no, when his phone rings this late at night, there's a problem, and we have to answer it. So I said, I need somebody to come give my son the last rites. I said, can you send somebody? He said, well, I'll come. Where you at? I said, the Old Bridge Hospital. He said, I don't know where it's at. I gave him directions. Now, mind you, he was the last one I called out of the family, the first one to arrive. But that's what these priests are that are here today, including my pastor, Father John, and why Helen and I are so devoted to him. But that's enough of my story. You're not here for me. And if I could steal one joke to end this on a happy note from Pete. Guy goes to heaven. And St. Peter comes out and greets him. He says, welcome to heaven. He said, would you like to take a tour? And I said, well, I didn't know you could take a tour of heaven. St. Peter says, sure. Would you like to take it? He says, sure. So St. Peter turns around to St. Michael and says, hey, Mickey, take the guy for a walk. The gates swing open, and he walks in, sees this big lake. The men are fishing, children are swimming, there's canoes out there, people are swimming, just having a grand time. The guy says, oh man, this is what heaven's all about? St. Michael said, no, this is where we keep the Protestants. He walks down the path a little bit further, he looks over on these fields over to the right. Big fields, women are out there picking flowers and singing and having a good time and really rewarding. And he said, well, what's that over there? He said, that's where we keep the Methodists. Oh. Go a little bit further down the road and you come to this big field again and people are playing baseball, football, barbecue and have a good time. He said, what's that? He said, that's where we keep the Lutherans. Then the guy looks down the road. He sees this big wall, big brick wall, 20 foot high, with barbed wire on it. Angels flying over it with shotguns. The guy says, what the heck is that all about? St. Michael says, that's where we keep the Catholics. They think they're the only ones up here. All right, you had enough of me. Now let's have our guest of honor, Father Joe.
Coming from South Africa, it was a big challenge for me to be here in the States. I knew some friends that had been here. Somebody knows him, Father Marconcini, and I questioned him many times when I saw him in Italy about his work in the States. And I said, what do you do in the States? You're just wasting your time being in the States. And he said to me, no, it's not true that you are wasting your time. You will see if you ever go there. And after that, I was assigned to come to the States to work with our group here. Well, first of all, I didn't know anything about the Knights of Columbus, and I was really happy to be involved through Mickey and John Lombardo and other people to work with the Knights of Columbus. I even became illegally 4th degree member because I'm not an American citizen, and apparently you have to be American citizen to be 4th degree member. But they wanted a chaplain, and they needed a chaplain, so I said, okay, it's not a problem with me to become a chaplain for the 4th degree. And I learned a great lesson from the Knights of Columbus, ready to work for the church, ready to work for the community. I come from an experience in Italy where apparently the faith is only for elderly people or young children or elderly women and no men. To ask a man in Italy to lead the rosary in church is like to win a lottery ticket, because they will never do it. But again, I was very pleased to be involved in the work of the Knights of Columbus, and I was very pleased to be able to help people in their needs.